There was once a time when people believed that being tough meant being hard on themselves and others. They thought strength came from criticism and pushing through pain without mercy. But ancient wisdom keepers discovered something different. They found that the strongest hearts were actually the gentlest ones. These wise teachers learned that when we treat ourselves with kindness, something magical happens. We become naturally kind to everyone around us. This isn't just a nice idea. It's a practical way of living that changes everything. The first lesson in relaxing your mind starts with learning how to be your own best friend. When you master this art, you'll discover that peace isn't something you have to search for outside yourself. It grows from within, starting with how you speak to the person in the mirror. The journey of developing a gentle heart begins with a simple truth that most people miss completely. We spend our entire lives trying to be kind to others while being incredibly cruel to ourselves. We use words toward ourselves that we would never say to our worst enemy. The ancient teachers understood that this backward approach creates endless suffering. When someone learns to practice kindness toward themselves first, they're not being selfish. They're being smart. Think of it like learning to swim. You can't save someone else from drowning if you don't know how to stay afloat yourself. The same principle applies to emotional kindness. You can't give away something you don't have. This self-kindness starts with paying attention to the voice in your head. Most people have a harsh inner critic that comments on everything they do. This voice points out mistakes, predicts failures, and compares them to others constantly. But here's what the wise teachers discovered. You can change this voice. You can train it to become supportive instead of destructive. The practice is surprisingly simple. When you notice harsh self-talk, you pause and ask yourself one question. What would I say to a good friend going through this same situation? Then you say those same words to yourself. At first, this feels strange because most people aren't used to treating themselves well. But with practice, it becomes natural. Once this foundation is solid, extending kindness to loved ones becomes effortless. You're not forcing yourself to be nice. Genuine warmth flows naturally from a heart that knows how to be gentle. This creates a beautiful cycle where kindness generates more kindness. The real test comes with neutral people. Strangers, cashiers, people you barely know. Here's where most people's compassion runs out. But when your heart is truly trained in gentleness, you realize these people are just like you. They have the same basic needs, fears, and hopes. Treating them with simple human decency becomes automatic. The greatest challenge involves people who cause difficulties in your life. Traditional thinking says you should protect yourself by becoming hard and offensive. But the ancient approach suggests something revolutionary. You can maintain boundaries while still holding compassion for difficult people. This doesn't mean accepting bad behavior or becoming a doormat. It means recognizing that hurt people often hurt others and responding from wisdom rather than reaction. When you learn to transform your inner critic into an inner ally, something profound shifts in your entire life experience. That harsh voice that used to exhaust you becomes a source of encouragement and strength. You stop wasting energy on self-attack and redirect that power toward actually solving problems and growing as a person. The second lesson that helps relax the mind comes from understanding something that everyone experiences, but few people really grasp. Everything in life is constantly changing, yet most people spend their energy trying to make things stay the same. This creates a constant struggle against the natural flow of existence. Ancient observers noticed something fascinating about human nature. People get attached to good moments and want them to last forever. They also get stuck in bad moments and believe they'll never end. Both approaches cause unnecessary stress because they fight against reality itself. When someone learns to really see how thoughts and feelings come and go like waves in the ocean, they discover something liberating. That angry feeling that seemed so permanent this morning has already shifted. The sadness that felt overwhelming yesterday has naturally lightened. Even the happiness from last week has transformed into something different. Nothing stays exactly the same, ever. This understanding brings immediate relief. When you're going through a difficult time, you can remind yourself that this too is changing. When you're having a wonderful experience, you can enjoy it fully without desperately trying to make it permanent. This isn't about giving up or not caring. It's about working with life instead of against it. The practice starts simple. Look around your room and notice how everything there will eventually change, break, or be replaced. The walls will be painted different colors someday. The furniture will wear out. Even the building itself won't last forever. Instead of finding this depressing, people discover it's actually freeing. It means nothing is stuck, including your problems. The same principle applies to relationships, jobs, and life situations. When you stop demanding that everything stay exactly as it is, you can actually appreciate what's happening right now. You're not worried about losing it because you understand that change is natural. You're not trying to rush through bad times because you know they're already shifting. People often confuse letting go with not caring, but they're completely different. Letting go means you care so much that you want the best outcome, even if it's different from what you originally planned. It's like holding a bird in your hands. If you squeeze too tight, you hurt it. If you hold it gently, it can fly when it's ready. This wisdom changes how you handle daily frustrations. Traffic jams become temporary inconveniences instead of personal attacks. Work problems become puzzles to solve rather than permanent disasters. Even physical pain becomes easier to manage when you remember that sensations are constantly shifting. The third lesson reveals something that sounds simple, but changes everything once you really get it. Most people live their entire lives without ever being fully present. Their minds jump between yesterday's mistakes and tomorrow's worries, missing the only moment that actually exists right now. Think about it. When you're anxious, your mind is usually focused on something that might happen later. When you're depressed, you're often stuck replaying something that already happened. But the present moment? It's almost always manageable, even when it's challenging. The easiest way to come back to now is through your breath. It's always happening in the present. You can't breathe yesterday's air or tomorrow's air. Each breath connects you directly to this exact moment. When your mind starts racing with thoughts, simply pay attention to breathing in and breathing out. You don't need to breathe differently or count anything. Just notice it happening. Here's what makes this so powerful. When you're truly present, problems often solve themselves or become much clearer. You're not wasting mental energy on scenarios that aren't happening. You're not dragging emotional baggage from the past into current situations. You're dealing with what's actually in front of you. People worry that being present means they can't plan for the future or learn from the past. That's not true at all. The best planning happens when you're fully present. The most useful learning comes from examining past experiences with a clear, present mind. The difference is that you're choosing when to think about these things instead of being pulled around by random thoughts. You can turn ordinary activities into opportunities for presence. When you're washing dishes, feel the warm water and soap bubbles. When you're walking, notice your feet touching the ground. When you're eating, actually taste your food instead of mindlessly consuming it while thinking about other things. The present moment is rich with details that most people miss completely. The sound of birds outside your window, the feeling of air on your skin, the way light falls across the room. These aren't just pleasant distractions. They're anchors that keep you connected to reality instead of lost in mental stories. What's amazing is how this simple practice affects everything else in your life. Conversations become more meaningful because you're actually listening. Work becomes more efficient because you're focused on one thing at a time. Even difficult emotions become easier to handle because you're experiencing them directly instead of creating stories about them The fourth lesson teaches something that sounds like giving up, but is actually the opposite. Acceptance isn't about becoming passive or letting bad things happen. It's about stopping the exhausting fight against reality and using your energy more wisely. Most people confuse acceptance with resignation. They think accepting a situation means they can't do anything to change it. But here's the truth. You can only change something effectively when you first accept what's actually happening. Fighting against facts wastes the energy you need for real solutions. When something difficult happens, people usually add extra suffering by resisting it. They think thoughts like, "This shouldn't be happening," or "Why me?" These thoughts don't change the situation. They just make it harder to deal with. It's like being caught in rain and spending all your energy complaining about getting wet instead of finding shelter. The practice starts with simple situations. Your coffee gets cold while you're distracted. Instead of getting frustrated, you accept that cold coffee is what you have right now. You can reheat it, make fresh coffee, or drink it cold. But first, you stop fighting the fact that it's not hot anymore. This same approach works with bigger challenges. You lose your job. You can spend weeks being angry about how unfair it is, or you can accept that you're unemployed right now and focus your energy on finding new work. The anger doesn't change your employment status, but acceptance gives you the clear mind needed for job hunting. Acceptance becomes most powerful when dealing with other people's behavior. You can't control what others do, but you waste enormous amounts of energy trying to. When you accept that people act according to their own understanding and circumstances, you stop taking their actions personally. This doesn't mean you let others treat you badly. It means you respond from wisdom rather than emotional reaction. The hardest part is accepting your own mistakes and limitations. Most people spend years fighting against their imperfections instead of working with them. When you accept that you're human and make errors, you can learn from mistakes instead of being paralyzed by shame. You can acknowledge your limitations and find ways to work around them. Even in chaotic situations, there's always something you can accept. You might not be able to control the external chaos, but you can accept your own emotional response to it. This creates a small island of peace in the middle of any storm. The fifth lesson reveals a quality that modern life seems designed to destroy. Patience isn't just waiting. It's a special kind of strength that keeps you calm when everything around you is rushing. Most people think patience means suffering through delays, but real patience is actually peaceful. True patience works like a natural medicine for irritation and anger. When you're stuck in traffic, your usual reaction might be frustration and horn honking. But patient people use that time differently. They listen to music, think about their day, or simply breathe. The traffic doesn't change, but their experience of it completely transforms. The most important patience to develop is with yourself. People are incredibly harsh about their own learning process. They expect to master new skills immediately and get angry when progress feels slow. This impatience actually slows down learning because tension makes everything harder. When you're patient with yourself, you relax and absorb new information more easily. Impatience creates physical tension that you can feel in your body. Your shoulders get tight, your jaw clenches, your breathing becomes shallow. This tension doesn't make anything happen faster. It just makes you uncomfortable while you wait. Patient people stay physically relaxed, which keeps their minds clear and their energy available for more useful things. The modern world trains people to expect instant results. You want food, you microwave it. You want information, you search online. You want entertainment, you stream it immediately. This creates an expectation that everything should happen right away. But the most valuable things in life, relationships, skills, wisdom, health, all develop slowly over time. When you're dealing with frustrating situations, patience gives you a bigger perspective. Instead of focusing on this one annoying moment, You remember that life is long and full of many different experiences. This traffic jam is just a tiny part of your day. That difficult person is just one interaction among thousands. This setback is just one step in a much longer journey. Patience also shows up as tolerance for uncertainty. Most people get anxious when they don't know what's going to happen next. Patient people can sit comfortably with not knowing. They understand that clarity often comes in its own time, and forcing answers usually leads to poor decisions. The deepest form of patience is accepting that wisdom and maturity develop gradually. You can't rush your own growth or anyone else's. Everyone learns at their own pace and in their own way. This patience with the natural timing of development brings tremendous peace to daily life. The sixth lesson uncovers something that drains energy without most people realizing it. Every day, minds are constantly judging everything. This is good. That's bad. This person is wrong. That situation is unfair. This constant evaluation exhausts the brain and creates unnecessary stress about things that don't really need opinions. Judging everything around you is like having a voice in your head that never stops commenting. You walk down the street and notice someone's clothes, their walking style, their choice of music playing from headphones. None of these observations affect your life, but your mind automatically sorts them into categories of approval or disapproval. This mental chatter uses up energy that could be directed toward more useful activities. The practice of observing without labeling opens up a completely different way of experiencing life. Instead of immediately deciding whether something is good or bad, you simply notice what's happening. The sky is gray today. Your neighbor is playing loud music. The grocery store is crowded. These are just facts, not problems that require your emotional response. Curiosity becomes a powerful replacement for criticism. When you encounter something you don't understand or agree with, instead of rushing to judgment, you can get curious about it. Why might someone make that choice? What circumstances led to this situation? This shift from judging to questioning makes life much more interesting and less stressful. The harshest judgments are usually the ones people make about themselves. Every mistake becomes evidence of personal failure. Every awkward moment gets replayed with commentary about how stupid or embarrassing it was. This self-judgment creates a constant background noise of dissatisfaction that makes it hard to enjoy anything fully. When you notice judgment happening, you don't need to fight it or feel bad about it. Judgment is just a mental habit that developed over time. Like any habit, it can be changed with gentle, consistent practice. You simply notice the judging thought and let it pass without feeding it more attention. People worry that if they stop judging everything, they'll become naive or lose their ability to make good decisions. But there's a big difference between wise discernment and constant criticism. You can still recognize when something isn't right for you without creating dramatic stories about how wrong it is in general. The freedom that comes from dropping unnecessary judgments is immediate and noticeable. Conversations become more enjoyable because you're listening to understand rather than preparing your critique. Daily activities become less stressful because you're not rating everything you encounter. The seventh lesson teaches something that sounds strange at first, but becomes liberating once you understand it. You are not your thoughts. Most people believe they are their thinking mind, but thoughts are just mental events that come and go like clouds in the sky. You can watch them without being controlled by them. Most people have no idea how many thoughts flow through their minds each day. Estimates suggest it's around 60,000 thoughts, many of them repetitive and unnecessary. These thoughts pull attention in every direction. Worrying about tomorrow, replaying yesterday, planning, judging, fantasizing. It's like having a hyperactive roommate in your head who never stops talking. The first step is simply noticing that thinking is happening. Right now, as you listen to these words, other thoughts are probably arising. Maybe you're thinking about something you need to do later, or remembering something from earlier today. These thoughts aren't problems. They're just mental activity that you can observe. Repetitive thoughts create the strongest mental prisons. The same worries circle around and around, wearing mental grooves that become deeper with each repetition. Someone might replay an embarrassing moment from years ago, or constantly worry about the same unlikely disaster. These thought loops don't solve anything. They just waste mental energy and create stress. You can learn to watch thoughts the same way you might watch cars passing on a street. The cars aren't good or bad. They're just moving through your field of vision. Some are interesting, some are boring, but you don't need to chase after them or invite them into your house. Thoughts work the same way. They arise, exist for a moment, and then fade away naturally. The practice starts with recognizing when you've been pulled into a thought stream. You might suddenly realize you've been mentally arguing with someone who isn't even there, or planning a conversation that may never happen. The moment you notice this, you're already free from it. You can simply return your attention to whatever you are actually doing. This doesn't mean you never engage with thoughts deliberately. When you need to solve a problem or make a plan, you can choose to think focused, useful thoughts. The difference is between using your thinking mind as a tool versus being dragged around by random mental chatter. When you stop identifying with every thought that passes through your mind, a natural spaciousness opens up. You realize that beneath all the mental noise, there's a quiet awareness that's always been there. The 8th lesson reveals a simple practice that works like medicine for the mind. Gratitude isn't just being polite or saying thank you. It's a way of seeing that completely changes how you experience daily life. When you train your attention to notice what's working rather than what's missing, everything shifts. Most people's minds naturally focus on problems and complaints. This made sense for survival thousands of years ago, when spotting dangers kept people alive. But in modern life, this constant problem scanning creates unnecessary stress and misses all the good things happening simultaneously. Your coffee is hot. Your body is breathing automatically. Electricity powers your home. Countless things are going right every moment. The practice of gratitude trains your mind to notice abundance that was always there but overlooked. You start seeing that even basic things like clean water from a tap or a comfortable bed to sleep in are actually extraordinary luxuries that most humans throughout history never experienced. This recognition naturally creates a sense of richness rather than poverty. Daily gratitude practice can be as simple as noticing 3 things that went well each day. They don't need to be big things. Maybe your bus came on time, someone smiled at you, or your favorite song played on the radio. The point is training your brain to actively look for positive moments instead of only registering problems. Gratitude works as a powerful antidote to the endless wanting that creates so much mental suffering. When you're genuinely appreciating what you already have, the constant craving for more naturally quiets down. You realize that happiness isn't found in getting the next thing you want. It's available right now through appreciating what's already present. This practice becomes especially powerful when applied to relationships. Instead of focusing on what's annoying about the people in your life, you can appreciate their positive qualities. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems, but it balances your perspective so you're not only seeing what's wrong with everyone around you. When gratitude becomes a natural habit, you start noticing how interconnected everything is. Your food came from farmers, truck drivers, and store workers. Your clothes were made by people you'll never meet. Even this moment of learning is possible because of countless contributions from others throughout history. The 9th lesson teaches something that goes against everything modern culture promotes. True richness comes not from having more things, but from appreciating simple necessities. When you voluntarily choose to live with less stuff, you discover a kind of freedom that can't be bought. Most people accumulate possessions thinking they'll create security and happiness. But every object you own also owns a piece of your attention. You have to clean it, organize it, maintain it, protect it, and eventually replace it. The more stuff you have, the more mental energy gets scattered across managing it all instead of focusing on what actually matters. Voluntary simplicity starts with questioning whether you really need each item in your life. That gadget you bought last year, do you actually use it? Those clothes filling your closet, do they bring you joy or just take up space? This isn't about living in poverty or depriving yourself. It's about consciously choosing what deserves your time and attention. People often discover that experiences bring much more lasting satisfaction than things. A conversation with a friend, a walk in nature, or learning something new creates memories that actually get richer over time. Meanwhile, most purchases provide brief excitement followed by adaptation. They quickly become normal and stop bringing pleasure. The practice involves learning to find contentment with basic needs met rather than endless wants satisfied. When you have enough food, shelter, and safety, everything beyond that becomes bonus rather than necessity. This shift in perspective makes you grateful for what you have instead of anxious about what you lack. Simple living also connects you more directly to the natural world. When you're not constantly shopping and consuming, you notice seasonal changes, weather patterns, and natural rhythms that modern convenience often masks. This connection brings a deep sense of belonging that no amount of possessions can provide. The 10th and final lesson points to something that might sound impossible, but is actually your natural birthright. True peace doesn't depend on external circumstances being perfect. It's an inner stability that remains steady whether life is going smoothly or falling apart. This isn't something you have to create. It's something you learn to access. Most people believe their emotional state should match whatever is happening around them. If things are going well, they feel good. If problems arise, they feel bad. This makes sense on the surface, but it also means you're completely at the mercy of circumstances you can't control. There's another way to live where your inner state stays centered, regardless of external storms. This inner refuge isn't a place you go to escape reality. It's a quality of awareness that can hold any experience without being overwhelmed by it. Think of it like being the sky instead of the weather. Clouds, rain, and sunshine all pass through the sky, but the sky itself remains unchanged. You can experience difficult emotions and challenging situations while maintaining an underlying sense of okayness. The practice involves learning to return to this center place whenever you notice you've been pulled off balance. Maybe you get triggered by something someone says or stressed by an unexpected problem. Instead of staying caught in the reactive emotion, you can pause and reconnect with the steady awareness that's always available underneath the surface turbulence. Creating this internal sanctuary becomes a skill you can develop through regular practice. It might start with just a few seconds of remembering that you're more than whatever you're currently feeling. With time, you can access this refuge even in the middle of intense situations. It's like having a calm room inside yourself that you can retreat to whenever needed. The deepest discovery is realizing that peace isn't something foreign that you need to import from outside. It's been there all along, beneath the layers of worry, planning, and emotional reactivity. You don't have to manufacture it or earn it. You just have to stop covering it up with mental noise and drama. This unconditional peace gives you tremendous confidence in your ability to handle whatever life brings. You know that no matter what happens externally, you have access to an inner strength and stability that can't be taken away. This knowledge transforms how you move through the world, making you both more resilient and more open to new experiences. These 10 teachings offer you a complete path to a calmer, more peaceful mind. Each lesson builds on the others, creating a foundation for genuine happiness that doesn't depend on everything going perfectly in your life. The beautiful thing about these practices is that they work immediately. You don't have to wait years to feel the benefits. If these teachings brought you some peace today, please subscribe to our channel so you won't miss future videos that can help you on your journey. Share this video with someone who might need these reminders. Sometimes the perfect lesson reaches us exactly when we need it most. Remember, the wisdom is only valuable when you actually use it in your daily life. Pick one teaching that spoke to you and try practicing it this week. Your future self will thank you for starting today.